For SAP, building business by design in the mid-2000s, understanding we will see these hardware and network revolutions driven by Intel and the large telcos. We said, what does it mean for us? What kind of innovations are available to us now, or what kind of innovations do we need to come up with? And we said, well, number one, and I've already talked about it, this new paradigm allows us quite a few product innovations. But equally important, we said, and think of the diversity of labor slide, which I had just a minute ago, it is a completely new way to deliver a solution to our customers. It is no longer we put something on a tape or we put something on a DVD and we hand over the DVD to our customers. It's a completely new model of engagement. And it also means for a company that was super good in running a development organization that you need to build up a lot of new skills, which traditionally you didn't have, but other companies had it. So we saw that there would be a massive need for learning on our side. We also said, especially with the internet, it is so easy to inform yourself about what a solution can do. How is this solution doing relative to another one? What is this customer saying about the solution versus another one? So it allows us to invent completely new models to sell and buy. And it is not only an opportunity for SAP, it is also something which customers demand. I have seen companies, again in the mid-market, who said, I don't want to see anybody with a sales mission at my office. I will collaborate with you via video conferences, via phone calls, and maybe we meet once for the final signature of the contract. But in principle, I want to do e-contracting as much as possible. And I've now talked a lot about what SAP does. Whatever SAP does, by definition, it's always incomplete. Because we would never have enough people to build all of the capabilities that our customers need. Therefore, nurturing, building out, training, maintaining the ecosystem around us. The hundreds, the thousands of partners who can take what we built and transform it into something which meets the specific requirements of the customers. That is absolutely key. You can have the best cloud solution in the world. If you don't have the ecosystem around it, you won't be successful. Therefore, these are the 4 dimensions that we need to cater for. I've added some more aspects on it. I don't want to go through all of the details here. On the product side, and that is closely related to the dimension of the partners. A cloud solution has to have 2 facets, 2 natures. The first nature, it needs to be a solution. I need to be able to log on to the system, identify myself, create a sales order, and process the whole thing through. So that is the solution nature of what we are talking about. The second aspect is the platform nature. The platform nature means the customer says, I like the way how you orchestrate the process, but in my company we do this and this differently. And then the platform needs to be flexible enough that you can react. So that is again where the partners, where the ecosystem comes in, because that is the lion's share of the work that they need to do. The challenges are, specifically when you build out such a platform, is that you need to take on a different way of engineering. With Business by Design, we really built the entire platform, the entire model, for the first, I would say, at least 2 years in a design environment. We were using, at that point in time, ARIS to model out all of the business objects, all of the business processes, and we followed the state-of-the-art paradigms, be it regarding object orientation, model view, controller concept, and so on, because we knew that we will have the platform, and we we talked to a lot of our large customers in the automotive industry and said, what does a platform mean for you? And how do you build different cars on one and the same platform? And that is what we are doing, and that is, for example, also the reason why in Business by Design it doesn't matter at all to the underlying platform whether you consume the platform through a user interface, through a web service, through a message, or through whatsoever. But to get to this kind of isolation needed a completely different architecture than what we had before. When we talk about cloud computing and we talk about providing such a system to the masses, yes, you can start saying, well, it's basically the same thing what we did before. We have a computer, we install a piece of software on it. Yes, we put a web server on top of it, and then we give a company access to it. But as I said, cloud computing is predominantly an economic topic. It's all about economies of scale. There's one aspect of economies of scale that you say, hey, if I'm not only buying one computer, but I'm buying 1,000 computers, then I can talk to Lenovo, to Hewlett-Packard, to all the others, and get a much better price than if I just would buy one machine. That's one aspect of economies of scale. But the interesting part in the cloud computing world is what we describe as multi-tenancy. And there are millions of ways to do it, and I won't go into the details here. And it is a topic that the customer should not worry about. It is a topic to the provider. What does it mean? It means that yes, you install a machine or you install multiple machines, but you're very clear about what are the components which you can share across multiple customers and which are the components which only exist once per customer. And the better you are to isolate these components which you just need to keep once, you can really drive your costs down and come back with a very attractive price, which again is super important in the mid-market when you want to have a commercially viable offering. Obviously, your data centers need to be absolutely secure. That is a must-have. And if you look at this slide here, it talks a little bit more to the aspect of multi-tenancy. You see here on the left side basically in a historic single tenant model where you have the web client and then you have moving down here the different capabilities, but they exist just once per customer. And so here's customer 1 and here is customer 2. In the multi-tenancy world, you have here one block which is basically shared. And then you have all of the individual tenants which represent unique capabilities. For example, every customer has their own data, has even in the SAP world their own program code, or those pieces which are really unique to the customer, the specific interfaces which you have to them, and then all of the web clients access the system. So the right side is something which is very close to my heart or very important for me as a provider, because this is where the economies of scale game really happens. The data center slide, to run a state-of-the-art data center costs a fortune today. It is, I would say, it is absolutely impossible for a mid-market company to run a data center at such a level. I had a lot of discussions, let's say 5, 6, 7 years ago. Hey, Rainer, isn't the data safer in the basement of my building? I think today that discussion is completely over. It is so easy to hack your way into a piece of infrastructure if you haven't hardened out all of the mechanisms. And I have a rough idea of what SAP does to harden out our infrastructure, and there are not many companies who can spend so many hundreds of millions, up into the billion euros range, to just make sure that we provide a rock-solid, super reliable service. One more reason why I believe that cloud computing will be absolutely key. And I talked already about the importance of the ecosystem. Without the partners, you will not be successful, specifically in the mid-market. Let me give you one more reason for that. When I work with my largest customers. I always meet, or I can always rely on the fact that there's a large IT organization. And this IT organization can take whatever I give them and transform it in a way so that it meets specifically the needs of that company. In the mid-market, that doesn't exist. There is no CIO. There is no team of experts. In the mid-market, the customer expects to get a solution and to see a solution during the sales process where he immediately recognizes himself, says, yep, that is the right thing. They speak my language, they know exactly what is going on in my industry. Proximity matters a lot. For customers, it is very important to know that for this and this supplier, I'm amongst their top 10 customers. And if I have an issue on a weekend, they will still help me. So therefore, this kind of proximity is something which SAP finds very difficult to deliver. Our very large customers, they want to do business directly with us. I know a lot of mid-market companies who rather prefer to do business with the partner, but consume an industry-leading solution from SAP. Last but not least, the new ways to sell and buy. This simply means all of the information about the product needs to be available on the internet. You need to have test drive capability. We experimented a lot with that concept of test drive, so to give even prospects very early access to a system so that they can get a first feeling on how will this look like. Will my people like it? That is one of the key questions that companies have to ask. Then in a later phase of the sales cycle, they really want to work against the live system, try out a couple of things. How easy is it to adjust a workflow? How easy is it to adjust the threshold for a shopping cart? So all of these are new ways to sell and buy, new ways to collaborate, which we have to make available. So all four elements, we drove a lot of innovation. And to just give you one more aspect, and that is key for the partners. The partners develop own intellectual property. I have a partner, for example, who built a complete plant maintenance system on top of Business ByDesign. So the way that works is the partner develops on the platform, then packages up whatever they've developed, and they can publish in the SAP App Center, hey, this is available now. And so this gives the customer a much higher level of transparency on what is available through SAP and the ecosystem. And it's a seamless way to, and a controlled way to get access to all of this IP provided by the partners. But in the background, as you can see, it requires quite a bit of infrastructure from us to be able to do that.